Welcome into Views from the Sideline. Today it's August 7th, 2018, and on today's show, we break down everybody's top 10 favorite players of all time. And we are joined yet again by the better Tysick, Jordan. Let's get into it.
A 60-point game for Kobe Bryant. Lakers up by 3. Don't give up any fouls. Hayward all the way. Misses. Taken by Randall. Bryant ahead with 7 seconds. Clarkson. The Lakers are going to win it.
And that is your soundbite of the day. Kobe scoring his final point in the NBA. Welcome to the show, fellas.
Welcome to the Lakers podcast. We're switching the
Yeah,
theme.
you know,
Oh,
LeBron.
please get me out of here.
LeBron took his talents to LA, so are we. Nah. But welcome to the show. It's another kind of themed show for us. Last week we did our top 10 favorite Pistons of all time. This week we're doing top 10 favorite players of all time. But the asterisk here is no Pistons, and I know Joey's going to be a little upset about that, but that's the asterisk we're working with today. No Pistons, just your top 10 players of all time in the NBA. We're going to use the same format that we used last week, which is we'll start with Joey. He'll make his number 10 and any honorable mention that he wants to give. Then we'll go to Jordan, Malik, me, and so on and so forth. But before we get into that, I'll open up the floor here. Joey, Jordan, Malik, what's going on today, fellas?
Not much. Just another
hanging
fun, casual episode where we don't have to dive too deep into things and, just talk about some of our favorites. I'm excited.
Yeah, I kind of like these episodes. It's just a change of pace,
Right.
Nothing, Jordan?
Jordan, how's it
Second
feel to
week
be
on
on
the
your
sh-
second
Yeah.
show?
Oh, I'm living the life.
This is like you're like
Living
a
the
veteran
dream.
now.
Talking sports.
Fantastic.
Clean up the hair a little bit.
Yep, got a nice haircut, ready to go.
Got to get TV ready, right?
Right.
Also,
Podcast, radio
Jersey
show.
Jersey appreciation for these two right now. Drazen Petrovic and the Black Steve Nash. This is how you do it right here.
Well, let's give jersey appreciation to Jordan for bringing in the jerseys. Joey's wearing one.
I
but-
got good ones at home. I didn't want to. I have them all hanging up nice and neat, and I didn't want to take them down and have to put them back up
Oh.
later. I'm just lazy. That's all it is.
pure laziness. I was about to bring in my Peyton Siva jersey this week, but
Good thing you didn't.
I mean,
Pistons episode was last week.
That would have been bad luck for the show. I'm happy
you
didn't
think?
do it.
You think?
Horrible luck.
I don't know. I feel like that's just the most obscure jersey. Like, we were just talking before the
Not
show
good-
about
not
the
good
most
obscure.
Okay, but still obscure. I don't know. Name me another person that has a Peyton Siva jersey that's not related to Peyton Siva. You can't. Just saying. All right, let's get into it before we get into some bad side talk here. Joey, number 10 or your honorable mention of your favorite players of all time.
So my number 10 was really tough. I have the 3 players: Jason Richardson, Zach Randolph, and Monte Ellis.
Okay.
I'm going to decide that we're going to go Jason Richardson
Jason Richardson at number 10?
You a
because
big fan of those Believe Warriors, huh?
Well, here
I mean-
that's the second question I was going to ask him too. What Richardson is your favorite?
the Warriors.
Warriors.
When he won those dunk contests back to back,
Yeah.
I remember sitting on the couch watching with my dad, and he did some of the most insane things that we had never seen at that point, going through the legs while doing 180, 360, things like that. He was just explosive and exciting to watch. Later in his career, he got a 3-ball, which we all know I'm a big fan of. And even though he bounced around a lot, he was just an exciting player, one of those guys you love to watch. And, he's also a Michigan State guy, too. I never really watched him when he was at Michigan State, but, that adds a little bit. So he's my number 10.
Jordan, what you got? Number 10 or honorable mention? Joey declined the honorable mention there, but
I
Oh.
kind of mentioned him real quick.
oh yeah, you
but
did.
I'll probably decline the honorable mention.
All right, fair
But
enough. Fair enough.
My number 10, Rajon Rondo.
Rajon was on my top 40.
I
It's-
I considered him.
Top
I
40.
considered him.
He's the reason that 08 Celtics team won by far.
Yeah, that's the
he
reason why I
carried
don't
them in
care
the
for him.
playoffs.
Him and Kendrick Perkins.
Carried them in the playoffs.
Kendrick is still an active player in the NBA, or did he actually retire? I think he
No,
actually retired.
he
yeah.
got waived, and I think he's done.
He'll end up on the Cavs again somehow.
Eh,
No, he'll end up on the Lakers somehow.
Yeah, maybe.
Play with
Who knows?
LeBron, be that muscle, his bodyguard. But Rondo, that's an interesting. He's such a different player.
He literally has the fake behind the back pass now is called pretty much a rondo. Like,
Yeah.
every time someone does it, it's called a rondo.
He created the
he
move.
He has his own move now.
That's
He's set in stone.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, one thing that bugged me with Rondo, I couldn't put him on my list because of what that team did to the Pistons in 2008. That was a solid team. Rondo, surprisingly, I was surprised at how well he thrived with those 3 All-Stars. I mean, he had to play a dynamic role and defer to all 3 of them. And we're seeing now that Rondo's kind of had some locker room issues, but that seems to be going away a little bit.
Doesn't take away from the skill on the court, though.
Exactly. And for some people, that might play in a factor of why they like them in the top 10. Malik, number 10 or honorable mention?
My honorable mention, big time honorable mention. It was tough for me to take him out. Peja Stojakovic.
Yes, Peja was up there for me.
He was gonna be in my 7 to 10, but I had to take him out when I considered more players. My number 10 is Kemba Walker.
Kemba Walker?
Ooh, yes.
Wow.
Over Peja. Kemba.
Crazy handles. His offensive game has gotten better each year he's played.
His college run.
He came in with the Bobcats. I didn't think he'd be that good of an NBA player coming out of UConn with an insane senior year run he had at UConn, hitting all those crazy clutch shots. He made the Bobcats better in his first year, even though they still weren't very
They were the
good.
worst on-record team in NBA history, percentage-wise.
That was that year?
Yeah. I'm like...
He was good as a rookie.
No, I'm just... It doesn't take away from what his skill was, but yeah.
He was good as a rookie. They moved over to the Hornets. He got better each year. I also think he's one of the most well-balanced point guards in terms of when he comes out of his crossover or makes a move. I've never seen him shoot an off-balance jumper. He's always in a great position jumper-wise. I just love watching Kemba Walker play.
Also, probably Shabazz Napier is thanking Kemba a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because
100%.
basically
He was a lottery pick because of
Shabazz
that.
Napier did the exact same thing that Kemba Walker did. So people were like, oh, he's going to turn out like Kemba Walker.
So did LeBron think that, too.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
didn't turn
Shabazz
out
can
that
also
way.
thank LeBron for that one.
But
he's
Shabazz
turned out...
he's a good backup.
Yeah,
guy.
he's
I
not-
was going to say, he's turned out
definitely
to
not
be...
bad.
He turned out to be an actually decent role player. Well, my honorable mention and my number 10 were nose to nose. It was really tough to pick. My honorable mention is Baron Davis, specifically from the Charlotte Hornets days.
right.
But my favorite Davis highlight was his dunk over Andre Kirilenko in the We Believe Warriors.
All-time great dunk.
That's one of that's like a top 5 dunk for me all time, maybe top 3. I remember sitting down watching that and just going insane. And he just lifts his jersey up too in the middle of the game. It was just crazy. But he's my honorable mention. My number 10, Nate Robinson.
That's a good pick.
That's
Wow.
I like that pick.
I mean, what can you say about his hops? Absolutely insane. I think he has 4 slam dunk championships, something like that.
I think they gave him 2, but he has 4. He has.
But
the
he has
record.
2 legit ones.
Yeah.
And that third one I think was pretty decent too. He
The
still
last
dunked
one
over.
he won, they were just like, yeah,
Here you go.
go ahead and have it.
Well, and then what about his block on Yao Ming? This
Yeah.
dude was
Impressive.
filled with highlights.
Yeah.
His block on LeBron.
Right.
His block on LeBron
Block
too,
on
and
LeBron.
that was gonna bring me up. I was gonna say his best year of basketball was in Chicago when he led that team to the second round.
Just because of that playoff series, I have so much respect for him.
He was a straight up
He led a
dog.
team
Yes.
to a second to the second.
And I was surprised that the Bulls not re-signing him after that year too. They went in a different direction. Like, oh, Rose should be healthy. We'll get a different backup. And who was it that was the next backup for Chicago?
Was it DJ Augustine?
Yeah, I think it may have been. Maybe it was DJ, but I don't know. But Nate Robinson, man,
He's one of those guys that has contributed everywhere he goes, yet for some reason he can't stay on an NBA team, and I don't understand it.
he's
In-
still
yeah.
in playing condition right now. He
Right.
signed. I believe he just signed overseas. I don't remember what team and for what country, but
He's
did.
playing in the Big 3 right now. The 3.
Yeah,
on
and he
3.
did sign a contract
he's-
to play in the winter overseas somewhere. So I don't know, but shout out to Nate Robinson.
He should
That
still be in
dude-
the league.
That
He
dude
should still be.
has a special place in my heart for my childhood. All right, Joe, number 9.
All right, number 9. This took a lot of consideration to keep him on the list or not, but I went with Kevin Garnett.
Kevin was up
Timberwolves.
there.
Big ticket.
Timberwolves specifically.
Okay.
He left to go to the Celtics, which kind of was a downgrade for me as a big fan growing up. I used to have I wore his Adidas shoes back in man, probably like elementary school, maybe intermediate school. There's a just black plain Adidas with a like blue sole, kind of see through. Had the 21 on the back. I used to love those things. They were heavy as can be, so I don't know how I moved in them. But Timberwolves, he was so good. He was skilled offensively. He was a lean forward. He played really tough-nosed defense, and he was just fun to watch for me. Like I said, the Celtics thing kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit, but I still enjoyed it. And, you know, he beat out Ray Allen because Ray Allen left for the Celtics and the Heat. Now, if we talk about Ray Allen for the Bucks and the Sonics, maybe I keep him around, but he left twice, and it didn't sit well with me. So that's why Kevin Garnett was on the edge, and that's why he's number 9 and not higher.
So what about Ray Allen's 3-point shot in the corner, man, for Miami to win that chain? I don't
Easy.
know.
It was easy. There's so many things
There's
about
so-
that play that I could talk about that we could just sit here and talk about how dumb that was.
How dumb that it's made into a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that how the Miami Heat even got the rebound is sad.
What do you mean? Because it was like a foul or something?
No, it was just poor positioning and just the
Oh.
whole play in general. I mean, I know it was a
I'm
break
kind of
point.
interested.
Anyway,
I'm kinda
Anyway.
Joey has
really-
conspiracies.
yeah, I'm kind of really interested in this
it's
now.
not really a conspiracy. It's just bad play.
All right, fair enough. All right, Jordan, you're number 9.
All right, if we're talking greatest dunks of all time, my number 9, Sean Kemp,
Ooh.
The Rain Man.
with the Lister Blister, man. Ooh.
Dude, that's a really good pick.
One of the most exciting players I've ever seen. I didn't really get to watch him much,
Yeah.
but just highlights and everything. And I would buy a ticket every game to go see him.
Well,
play.
highlights are part of it
It's-
too, and he was like, I feel like he was like the Blake Griffin before Blake Griffin when
Exactly.
when
Just
Blake was actually an athlete,
an
Um,
explosive big and
yeah.
just
dunk on anybody.
yeah, jump out of the gym,
Yeah.
hard rebounder, everything you could want in a big guy.
Yeah.
That dunk makes me mad that I didn't grow up in the early 90s.
There's a lot of things
Because
that make me mad.
You can't dunk on somebody and point at them anymore. And like one time he dunked on somebody and they like high-fived each other. Like times have changed. You can't have fun like that anymore.
Different.
Is sad, kind of sad.
Wasn't there a what was, I'm vaguely remembering like Shaq dunking over some random dude, and then he like pushes him down,
Yeah,
and then the dude throws the ball at him. Nobody gets ejected. There's no nothing, but
good times.
Yeah.
Just play basketball.
I miss the
Just
90s,
move on.
early 2000s. Malik, who you got at number 9?
My number 9 is a guy that's become a journeyman, and it makes me kind of sad. He's one of the best players of this generation. Joe Johnson, ISO Joe.
Woo. Thank
You're
you.
going ISO. I thought we were only gonna have Joey
Let's
with ISO Joe.
go.
Wow.
Joe Johnson, it has always amazed me
Really?
the pace at which he plays. Nobody can stop him, no matter how slow he goes. He is going to break you down, and there's nothing you can do about it. Whether he's out at the 3-point line crossing you up,
Yeah, don't
Or
tell
in-
Paul
Paul
Pierce.
Pierce.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that was
oh,
nasty.
mid to post, giving you post moves. When you give Joe Johnson the ball, there's a great chance he's going to score on you. Plus, clutch factor, he's top 5 of this generation. You can't deny it.
Top 5 player of his generation. Or
Clutch.
Clutch.
Clutch factor.
Oh,
Clutch
okay.
player.
When you give the
All right.
ball to Joe Johnson in that last minute or with the last 30 seconds, he's going to give you the shot. Make the shot to either tie it or win the game.
Isn't there like a
And-
statistic that he shot like 80% or something ridiculously high,
There
like
is-
60 or 70% with the game on the line or a
Yeah,
1
there
or 2
is
point
some
game?
crazy
Yeah.
stat. I know.
I'd
you're
have to
talking
look
about.
it up, but
Even,
Okay,
even in Utah a few years ago,
yeah.
in that playoff series, still hitting clutch shots when
As-
he was coming off the bench.
As a fellow Joe Johnson fan, what is your favorite era of Joe Johnson?
Man, my favorite era
Let's
of
go
Joe
Brooklyn.
Johnson,
Could be.
Utah, the end of the
What?
Utah run.
What?
I mean, I
What?
didn't mean to say Utah. I meant to say Atlanta.
okay,
The
okay.
end of the Atlanta run was when I really started to appreciate him. And then
Yeah.
when he went to Brooklyn, because I was a Brooklyn Nets fan when they first got to Brooklyn. I used to watch them a lot, and
So you abandoned the Pistons for a year to go be a Brooklyn fan?
oh yeah, fully.
At least you're open to
As
admitting it.
As soon as the
okay.
Brooklyn Nets hats came out, I bought like 2 of them. Yeah, I was all Brooklyn, but
How long did that?
probably Brooklyn Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
How-
when they got Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and them, I was off the ship.
Okay, you left and came back to Detroit, or did you
Yeah.
jump? I feel like there
Yeah.
was another team there.
Nah,
You sure? All right. Just
there's
making sure.
no team in between.
Okay.
It was Pistons, Lakers, Nets, Pistons, back to Pistons.
I think you picked a bad time to come back to the Pistons, but that's another topic for another show. My number 9, which I'm interested to see if is on your guys' list, but I think it may not be. Kevin Durant.
Okay.
I
mean,
respect the pick. Yeah, not on my list,
like
but I
we-
respect it.
Like we talked about before in the previous show, being able to watch these guys develop and turn into a star, turn into a scoring champ, played a huge role for me. And that's why KD is up here. I loved watching him in his Seattle days, very few of those. Then when he went to OKC, the tail end of his career in OKC was my absolute favorite. When he won the MVP towards that Western Conference Finals trip where they lost to Golden State, I was all on board. I was a KD fan. He dropped a lot on my list because he went to Golden State. He probably would be top 5 for me if he never left OKC and still competed with Russell.
Similar to my Ray Allen.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he makes scoring look so easy. I understand he's 7'1" or 7'2", whatever it is, in shoes. But the way he handles the ball, like the only person close to him that can handle the ball as smoothly at his height is Kristaps Porzingis. He can handle the ball well, but he's not even close to Kevin Durant.
Kristaps doesn't have anywhere
But
near
that's
those
what-
handles.
But that's what I'm saying, though. You know, it's crazy that a guy like that has it. I don't know. He's just so fun to watch. It's a bummer that he has the ball taken out of his hand more since he's in Golden State.
Although he's a better player in Golden State, which is
No, it
pretty
makes it look
crazy.
like he's a better player because he plays with a 2-time NBA MVP.
Well, he gets to play with
Four-time
he gets to
All-Stars.
play with ball
He
movement.
has better support.
he gets
Has a better system.
He's playing
I
with
would
team.
argue that I think the KD at OKC that final year.
Him and Russ just didn't in the end.
Well,
it
that's what
wasn't there.
I feel like that was probably KD's best season. That's all. All right, Joey. Number 8.
All right, number 8. This is one of those guys.
Has anybody gotten any of the same? We've all had different players
Yeah,
so
we've
far,
all had-
right?
yeah.
Okay.
We'll probably end up getting.
No. I believe that too. Especially our top 3s, I feel like are going to be very similar. but-
Spoiler alert: Malik already talked about Joe Johnson, so that's
Yeah.
coming up.
Well, don't worry, that's not on my list.
That's all I'm saying. This could be on somebody else's list. Very popular guy. He's one of those guys that switched over to the analyst desk nowadays. Career hurt by injuries. Tracy McGrady.
Team Mac.
It doesn't matter what team he was on. I mean, towards the tail end of his career, after Houston, his career just tailed off incredibly.
I still was hyped when he went to New York, though. I'm not gonna lie. I was so excited to watch that first game when he played with the Knicks, and he scored like 9 points or something like that.
Yeah.
And when he came to Detroit, I think I've said it on these airwaves before. I have a Tracy McGrady Pistons shirt. Like, I was so excited. He played well, I feel like, for Detroit too. People underestimate how well he actually played for the role that he was handed. He ended up playing some point guard, like starting at point guard, and he was like the facilitator. And he started to get a little bit of that bounce back towards the end of his Piston days. If you remember, he had like a windmill dunk off an alley-oop from Will Bynum. I'm just a Tracy McGrady fan. That's all.
I'm not a Pistons Tracy McGrady fan.
I'm a Tracy McGrady fan.
I don't think many people are.
Well, completely.
Orlando and Houston.
But you can't say you weren't excited. If you're a fan of Tracy McGrady, you can't say you weren't excited when he came to Detroit. Don't get me wrong. I know you're not expecting
I really
a championship.
wasn't because I knew what he already.
Yeah.
His career was over. Like
I
he
feel
had
like
too many injuries. His back was terrible, and
post Houston, Detroit was his best stop.
probably I would agree with that. But watching this guy in Orlando kind of blossom was awesome back in the early 90s, late 90s. And then when he went to Houston, he like turned it up another notch. And then
I don't know if he turned it up another.
that's
notch.
where
I
his
c-
I think for the first bit he
Oh,
did.
was dynamic.
He became totally different, and then the injuries hit him. And because Houston, look up the YouTube video where he
Yeah.
scores 13 straight points in the final.
Oh, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I love that clip.
are you
and
kidding
That's an
me?
all-time great. But that's not. You can't compare. Oh, because he had this, he's a better player in Houston. No.
I think he's a better player in
I
Houston.
think he's a better scorer in Houston. Wasn't as explosive.
He
as
was.
I
He
feel like he
became
was a
clutch.
I don't know. I feel like he was a better scorer in Orlando. Didn't he average like 29 points per game?
Yeah, he had some bigger averages in Orlando, but
But he
the team
also-
around him was also
Yeah.
pretty not great.
I don't
Fair
think
enough.
Tracy should be in the Hall of Fame.
You don't think so? I think he's one
I
of those
think
He
guys
had-
that's fringe.
Yeah.
He had one really, really, really great season, that 32 point per game season. He had some really good seasons, like 6 really good seasons.
He's one of those guys that just couldn't
And
get
that's
out
it.
of the first round of the playoffs.
I was gonna say the playoff factor plays a role to
Yeah,
me.
that's what hurts him the most. His averages and his numbers are there.
I think he's a really good player, but him getting into the Hall of Fame,
his accolades don't compare to those of people that are actually in the Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. He's like, what is it, 8-time All-Star or something like that. I think he's like a 4 or 5-time All-NBA. But outside of that, you have your only time you ever went past the first round was when you hitched a ride on the Spurs bandwagon to win it. Did he win the championship that year?
No,
I think
they
they lost to
lost.
Miami,
No, they
right?
didn't
Yeah,
win.
they lost to Miami. It just plays a huge. Yeah, I'm in the mindset of Tracy should not be a Hall of Famer based on the fact of him not winning.
To
And
me-
he didn't have a dynamic impact on the game like a Vince Carter did.
To me, I think he's number 2 behind Grant Hill in best players ruined by injury.
I agree with that.
But I think because he got to play longer than Grant Hill,
Maybe for our generation though. 'cause
he had a longer
almost
tenure.
had- yeah.
he almost like broke through without getting injury, and he got injured towards his somewhat end of his prime. But that really hurt the tail end of his career, and I think
same with Penny too.
right,
Tracy had the longest time in his prime.
yeah, right.
Jordan, number 8.
All right. The creator of Flash, college basketball's best scorer of all time, Pistol Pete Maravich.
A lot of people talk stuff about that average nowadays because he played for his dad and he got to do whatever he wanted. But I don't disrespect him.
If you just
don't
watch some of the
disrespect him.
clips, it's unreal. It doesn't look
Unbelievable,
real.
yeah.
He
Unbelievable.
was out of his generation. He
Yeah,
could play.
yes, that's the best way to put it. He
he
was
could-
out of his generation.
He was unreal. Some of the passes he made, I don't think there's guys in the NBA that can make those passes now.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah, and like you said, watching him play, it's like somebody took a dynamic point guard from this age, put in a black and white clip,
Yep.
and surrounded it with the old NBA footage.
Stretched him out to like 6'5".
Yeah.
Could shoot from anywhere. He was
And he was playing-
Steph Curry. But he was Steph Curry.
And his shots were only worth 2 points.
And
And
everything was 2 points.
No, that's a really good pick, and a pick that I'm pretty sure Malik, myself, and Joey don't have on their list. But
Yep.
that's based solely off of not watching him play during his time.
Depending on who you watch highlights of.
Exactly,
And-
too. I've seen highlights of him, but I haven't seen extensive
Yeah.
highlights of
I
him.
thought about
And
Pistol
I
Pete for-
love the old history and
Yeah,
and all that stuff. It's interesting to me.
yeah, definitely. Great pick, Pistol Pete at number 8 for Jordan. Malik, you gotta one up him here, man.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna want.
Yeah, I don't think so.
My number 8 is Manu Ginobili,
That's a solid pick. I like Manu, but
a guy that I think if you put him on another team, he's a superstar.
a superstar.
Guaranteed.
In my
He's looked
listen,
pretty good
in
with the
my opinion,
Spurs.
Manu Ginobili
Guaranteed.
is a first ballot Hall of Famer. In my
People
opinion.
forget
guaranteed.
about some
He's-
of his early years with the Spurs.
He's 40 years old and he's still playing like he's 30. Last year,
And last year I feel like was his
last year Manu Ginobili played really good basketball when he played. When he played with Tim and Tony, he didn't get his shine, but whenever he went on a run, he got a little bit of shine. He's only a 2-time All-Star. but
Definitely overshadowed by Tim
Yes.
Duncan's greatness.
the impact he had on that team, you can't say enough about it.
one
he-
of
He
Sorry.
brought the European game over completely. He was one of the first players to do that. Most of the moves he does have become a regular part of the NBA.
James Harden.
Yeah, the Euro step, whether something is a travel or not. A lot of Manu started that, and great player, just a great player.
also one of the greatest draft picks in NBA history. I believe he was like number
Definitely, yeah.
56 in that draft class.
Yep.
And just another one of those Spurs greats to get picked in the second round.
Yep.
Moving on, my number 8, Russell Westbrook. Just
Oh no.
just
Oh.
it's the passion he
play
plays.
that
Our-
thud
ours-
soundbite for us real quick.
What the one we did before the show? All right.
No.
No!
Yeah, that one works
That
too.
works.
No!
Listen,
God, please,
I respect
no!
Russell
No!
Westbrook,
No!
and I can admit that he's a Hall of Fame player.
No.
He is a great player, but I can't stand watching him play.
Really?
I respect the effort, but I can't. I just don't like watching him.
You
That was the
you
one?
signal no that in the original sound fix where it's just
Oh.
a fall.
You can't win.
You consider
going
him a
full
Hall of
speed at all
Famer?
times. Yes.
in a stat boosted era.
I think a lot of people will
he's
consider him a Hall of Famer
I
just
think
because
he's a Hall
stats
of
are
Fame
everything
player.
nowadays.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, for me, because the
he's an
game is at a
incredible
higher
player.
pace, so stats are easier to come by. Like we've talked about it before. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer.
But I think he's one of the most unique players of the generation because he has some skill, but when he's coming down the floor, you are backing up and you're not trying to guard Russell. He pulls up for open mid-range jumpers. When he drives in the lane, nobody's trying to block his shot. Russell takes his buckets. Nobody really tries extra hard to stop Russell because they're afraid.
I do like his
He's one of-
intensity. I
yeah.
do appreciate that.
He's one of the most unique players.
Another thing that played a huge role for me was his loyalty. Him doubling down with OKC.
I think
When
that's
KD
because
left.
he wants to be in the limelight. I think that's
Regardless
part
of
his
what
thing.
it is.
He has to be the star.
I think for a Russell Westbrook team to win a championship, that's true.
I don't think he can win a championship.
Uh,
I don't
I
think
say
he's
But
he'll
you-
never make the
but-
conference finals again.
You think so?
I'll bet money.
Well, we can't do that yet. But I don't know. I think there's still a chance for him. You never know. Golden State has been so lucky with injury wise for the past 4 years. I feel like it's got to catch up with them one of these days.
I don't know. They had
I don't
a
think-
few scares.
I don't think OKC. I still don't think they get in. If Golden
Not
State
saying West-
had injury problem.
I think they have a. Well, I do.
I mean,
I think they have a
yeah,
chance
I
for the
don't
Western
think
Conference
OKC
Golden
Finals.
State had a lot of injuries going into the playoffs last year. That was a big scare for them.
Yeah, but they knew they were always going to be ready. You know, they were going to be ready by the time the conference finals was happening. By the time they got to the NBA finals, so they never had a huge injury like a Chris Paul pulling a hamstring at the end of the Western Conference Finals. If it was Steph Curry for the Warriors would have been done. You know.
Maybe. It's all what
So
ifs.
yeah, exactly. But Russell Westbrook, my number 8. Love the passion he plays with. Love the loyalty. He's just that energy bug for me.
Russell Westbrook fans are also so annoying.
What are you trying to
They're
say,
so
Malik?
irritating.
What are you trying to say?
They're up
man?
there with LeBron fans.
Russell Westbrook fans.
Should I just leave?
They will do.
No, you're good.
They will do anything for Russell. They will. Oh, they are ride or die, almost
Mhm.
literally. If you
Yeah.
say something bad about Russell, oh boy,
Why not?
they will come.
They're on your
They're
neck.
coming for you.
All right, Joe, number 7, man.
Okay, so number 7 for me, after you guys are talking about Kemba Walker, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, I don't have any guys that are like new age generation. This is my most recent player, and I'll age myself by saying that right now. And it's kind of unfortunate timing, but my number 7 is Carmelo Anthony.
Wow.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo.
Wow,
I know a lot
wow.
of people that love Carmelo.
And
even more.
Most of the funny thing about Carmelo, like the reason I started liking him is because I just didn't like LeBron so much that I started liking Carmelo, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh left Toronto, which hurt me. Carmelo's moved around a bit, but the way he plays the game is so smooth and fluid to watch. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. It's kind of like how you're talking about Joe Johnson. It's kind of similar, kind of that ISO player and mid-range spot up, shoots the 3. He's got some post moves.
A lot of post moves.
Yeah, and those early Knicks days were incredible
He was
to
almost
watch.
unstoppable.
Yep.
And people forget about his early days even. If you go back and look at it, he probably should have won Rookie of the Year based off. If you go off of stats, he was better than LeBron. Granted, who knows? But he was explosive and athletic in Denver, and then he honed his skills in New York and became such a exciting, lethal scorer. And, you know, the game has kind of changed around him. That's why you see him kind of not working out in this day and age as NBA. But just watching the way this guy score and the ways that he did it were so exciting to me. And I love his pull-up and everything. And he's fun to play as in 2K. So
Yeah.
that takes into account.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Fame player.
Melo in New
He
York.
is.
That's my favorite Melo. I loved when he went to New York. The homecoming video got me juiced up. I will say I was a slight Knicks fan at the time when he traded over there.
That was a good team.
It was a solid team. It was fun to watch. I think Carmelo is up there with the greats when it comes to footwork on the elbow. Michael Jordan, Kobe. I'll put LeBron in there too nowadays. but I think I have Melo ahead of him when it comes to his footwork, his mid-post area. Tracy McGrady was fantastic at that as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's up there with those 5 guys as being the best to kind of just, like you said, force a bucket, So a good pick. Melo. What was that, number 7?
Yep.
All right, Jordan, who got at 7?
All right, my number 7, I'm staying with the classics. And another flashy player, Larry Bird.
Larry Legend.
Great pick.
Good pick. Good pick.
Way more than just a shooter as what people kind of think about him as.
Thought about picking him, but I knew Jordan was going to, so.
Gotcha.
Great passer, smartest basketball player maybe to ever play the game.
Don't tell
And
that to Kobe
Just one of the
or Rondo.
same as Kobe, just unbelievable work ethic.
A lot
could
of
do it
people
all.
will be mad at you because you said he's smarter than Magic.
I
But you can make an
I'd-
argument that he was better than Magic.
I think Larry Bird is better. He was another injury riddled back, had bad back problems.
Also think he's one of the only players to play a full game with the opposite hand just by saying that
Yep.
he
Yeah,
would.
I know.
Yep.
That was insane.
He'd shoot closed eyes free throws, opposite hand free throws.
He'd
He'd
tell-
tell you, "I'm going to hit this game winner right
I'm
in
gonna
your
go
face."
right here.
I'm going to
He
do
was-
this, this,
shoot-
this,
I'm
and
gonna shoot
this.
this
He would
right.
just joke with people.
Yeah.
He was unreal.
He's an underrated trash talker.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the greatest trash talkers to ever play the game.
Exactly. And people don't,
He used
like,
to toy with people.
general NBA fans, I feel like, don't know that about Larry.
Oh, and he'd fake the crap out of guys.
Yeah.
You see him faking under their legs and
Yeah.
stuff, and unreal.
Malik, number 7.
Now I'm kind of disappointed I didn't put him on my list. Larry was beyond great. My number 7 is Yao Ming.
Solid
Yao
choice.
Ming at 7?
I like that.
I
pick.
I like the pick, but I'm
Like
just
it.
surprised.
I have been a Yao Ming defender for so long. I've known so many people.
I should have started the show with a
that-
Nate Robinson block on you.
I've known so many people that tried to tell me Yao Ming was just okay, and
He's one of the
Just-
first stretch 5s,
just think about the fact that you may never see a guy 7'6" that's that good again.
And has a nice mid-range
It's-
shot.
He
He
shot
shot
oh,
90%
yeah.
from the free throw line multiple times in his
He
career.
he averaged like 82% from the free throw line in his career. He had every post move. He was 7'6" and could move. It was him and Shaq.
Yeah.
When them two played,
That was
they
a
were-
great era of big men.
When them two played, it was
Don't
those
forget
were
about Ben
beyond
Wallace.
That's what I'm saying, though. There's
Yeah.
Ben Wallace, Shaq, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan,
yeah.
Yao Ming. Like, it was a good
time.
era.
And nowadays, what you got? Carl Anthony Towns,
The
Kristaps
center's
Porzingis.
coming back.
yeah, these.
But they're all
it's-
stretch
they're
big
different.
men.
They're different centers.
yeah, they're
Andre's gonna shoot threes next
they're
year.
Anthony Davis point guard conversions.
Exactly.
Stop reminding us of Andre shooting threes, please.
Guys, Andre is
But-
shooting threes next year. I'm sorry.
But at that time of post players, besides Shaq and Yao, it was hard to say who was really in their category of overall great centers. And although his career was cut short, he only played, I think, 8 or 9 years. Because when you're that big,
Foot problems.
yeah, you're bound to have foot or knee problems. But for what he did for basketball worldwide and how good he was, most people thought he was going to be a complete bust when he came into the league. Nobody gave him a chance. He shut them up immediately and showed how good he was, and he was a really good player for years after.
He
was the face of the Rockets.
he's the head of the Chinese.
He's the face of the Rockets.
He was the face of
You
the
think over
Rockets.
Tracy?
Yes.
That's questionable to me.
He's
I think Yao Ming was the
like
face.
the lead ambassador for China
Yeah.
basketball as well, which is a big thing. At this point, he's probably done more off the court for basketball than he did on the court.
Exactly.
I'd agree with that.
And after Tracy left, they kept getting to the playoffs. It was because Yao kept raising his game.
Don't sleep on Ron Artest. That dude.
Ron
looked-
Artest was really
no,
good at
he
that time,
led that
but
team. That was such a fun team. I'm
Ron
not gonna
Artest,
lie. That
Yao
was a
Ming
fun
was the
team.
reason why they were winning.
Nah, give me Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Moving
Rafer
on.
Alston, come on, guys.
Skip to my
Yeah,
lose.
exactly. I was just gonna say that. My number 7 is the most pure point guard of all time,
Ooh,
Steve Nash.
Controversial.
Sure.
Okay,
Steve
yeah.
Nash.
you scared us there.
Uh,
The most pure. Okay.
That duo of Amari and Steve was just absolutely deadly. I mean, he's a 90, 40, and 50 guy. When I'm growing up and I was a kid trying to be good at basketball, I'd watch Steve Nash because that's how you played. If you wanted to play the point guard position, you shoot perimeter shots, crafty around the basket, and he was just amazing with the ball in his hands when it came to setting up his teammates,
I don't understand why more point guards haven't come out like him. Steve Nash is one of the last point guards of he could pass very well. Like Rajon Rondo can pass very well, but his jumper isn't there. Steve Nash was also an excellent shooter,
Yeah.
and his
He had
IQ
the full
was out of
package.
there aren't many point guards like that anymore, and I don't understand why.
It's
tough.
mostly just not any of them have the pass first mentality.
Yeah, it's turned
Anymore.
into a score first.
You got these guys like Russell Westbrook, the old Derrick Rose, Steph Curry that just shoots threes, and he's crafty as well. He gets to the basket, but he's not always a pass first kind of guy because he can
He can be
fill it up.
He can be a great passer at times.
Right.
But he's more of a scorer. Yeah.
Even Kyrie Irving, he can be a great passer as
Yeah.
well, but he's a score
first.
first, get to the basket. So it's kind of hard.
But
I don't know.
I think that type of point guard will still work in today's game.
Oh, I
Oh,
think
for
so
sure.
too, yeah.
With
That
the
offense,
amount of
yeah.
guys on the 3-point line, it would easily work.
That offense they ran in Phoenix was the type of offense you run today, just run up and down.
Yeah.
Right.
Steve Nash
Yeah,
was the
they-
guy that led it.
They're the reason the NBA is the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Is that Suns team?
Mhm.
Joey, who you got at 7? Or I mean 6.
6.
Wait, is it 7 or 6? I just did my
6.
7. I just did my 7.
I know, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
on
so you'd be
6.
on 6.
I went first.
Yeah, my bad.
Come on, Chris.
Got to keep it together.
So this may be a little bit controversial. My number 6 is Gilbert Arenas.
I have a friend that has
Gilbert
in his
Arenas.
in top 5 favorites also.
Number 6. This guy,
Agent Zero, one of the best nicknames ever to me.
I know, I use it.
Zero.
I love the nickname. Man, this guy was so exciting to watch. Scoring 50 points a game a couple times, I think. I think he did it a
50
couple
points
times.
a game.
Not a game, but
Oh, okay.
he's had 50-point
Yeah.
games.
He put up 60 in LA. That's
Yeah.
that's a legendary game.
This
right
guy
there.
I thought was going to become a superstar, and by his own doing, kind of walked himself out of the league, unfortunately.
The
But,
way he did it was hilarious too.
but man, this guy
Lars
was
Frittenton.
this guy was so exciting to watch. This is like that Wizards team was so bad back then too,
Yeah.
and he willed the team to win games. And
I don't know if they were so bad.
They were pretty bad,
I think
man.
they were pretty bad.
They
I
were
mean,
a playoff team.
I mean, yeah.
Their
the whole
second
time
leading
he
scorer was
there.
like Jarvis Hayes or something like that.
They had Antoine Jameson, they had Karan Butler.
Did they
Oh,
have,
yeah,
did they
yeah,
have
yeah,
Larry
yeah. I'm
Hughes?
thinking- I'm
Yeah,
thinking
they had
about
Larry
I'm
Hughes.
thinking about
Larry
the
Hughes.
tail end. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about the tail end of his
yeah,
career.
I mean,
That 3-4 year stretch. They
Yeah,
had,
yeah,
they had a
you're
really
right,
good
you're right.
team.
yeah, they were pretty good, but overall, I think they're bad.
Good
Just
call on
couldn't
Gilbert.
get past LeBron.
But he was just so exciting, and it's unfortunate what he did to himself.
Yeah, Jordan, what you got at 6?
All right, I'm going back to what Joey said about how injury-plagued players. My number 6 is Derrick Rose.
Derek Derek was up there for
He
me.
MVP D Rose.
Yeah,
is
he's
a
one of my-
top 5 player.
Yeah,
all
he's one of my
time.
favorite players ever.
is unreal. His MVP that season is
Youngest MVP in NBA history, probably a
That's
record
sick.
that will not be broken for a while.
he was the most dominant player in the league that year,
Yeah.
over LeBron James.
Was he
by far.
21?
He was
He was
20.
22.
22.
Oh, was
Some-
it
I think it's 22.
Okay.
Man, 22 years old.
I thought it was
And-
like, yeah, I'd have to look it up, but yeah.
That two-handed dunk, was it on Joakim Noah?
Goran Dragic.
Yeah. No, are you thinking about,
the
one where,
in Phoenix.
yeah,
one where he gets-
the one,
The
Yeah,
one where he
that
gets
was-
the extra height?
Yeah, where he
yeah,
gets
that was on
boosted.
Goran Dragic.
Yeah, okay.
He
That was
basically
insane.
dunked and hung in the air for
He-
like 3 more
Yeah.
seconds.
Oh my, he hung an extra
See-
second after he bodied him.
Whenever I would go to dunk, that was who I wanted to imitate by far. He was a 2-foot jumper. I'm a 2-foot jumper.
Yeah.
Just the passion he'd throw it. It's like a Russell Westbrook almost.
Yeah,
But
he was Russell before Russell,
he was crafty.
only better.
He was better because
He had a better
he-
three-point
he,
shot.
He knew how to change speeds. He had
He knew how to,
unbelievable handle. His handle, oh my god.
he knew how
was
to get
ridiculous.
his teammates involved a little bit more too.
Yes, and that.
One of the shiftiest players of all time.
Yeah.
He had a really clutch factor, too.
Yeah.
That he won a lot of games for that team.
Yeah.
And he could play defense. I mean,
Two-way
what
guy.
Else, what else could you ask?
Malik, who you got at 6?
My number 6 is. It just slipped my mind. Let me look at this.
Oh
list again.
my goodness! See,
I
at
just-
first I was
Doesn't even
Oh.
know his favorite players.
Oh.
My number 6 is specifically Utah Darren Williams.
See, Darren, he don't care about you. He completely forgot about you. You're just a filler.
Utah Darren Williams. I always go back and watch highlights of him still to this day. How shifty he was at that time. He used to just break everybody down with those crossovers. He was clutch. He was still athletic. That Utah team was a pretty good team at that time, and if it wasn't for Kobe and the Lakers, I think they might have gone farther a few times. They got beat by Kobe in the playoffs almost every year.
Darren Williams, Mamadou
Almost every
Kerr,
time.
Andre Karolinko.
Carlos Boozer was still was really good.
I
at
remember
that
when I wanted the
time.
Pistons to sign him so bad. I remember that. That was funny.
But Utah Darren Williams,
That's a good pick. I like it.
it was like him, Chris Paul, Brandon Roy, and the West
Plus, he
at
has
that
that
time.
he has that Brooklyn factor for you too.
We're talking Utah. We're just talking.
Fun-
I'm just saying he has that factor.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the old Chris Paul Darren Williams battle of who was better. My brother picked Darren Williams, and I picked Chris Paul. And like
That's
for the longest time, I loved watching
how
those
it
two go
always
at
used to
it.
be.
Oh, and
A lot of
we-
people take Brandon Roy. Some people take Chris
Brandon
Paul.
Roy almost made it for me too.
I'm a Darren Williams guy. I still love watching the highlights from when he was in Utah.
Yeah.
And he used to break down Derek Fisher so bad.
Oh,
It's
yeah, oh, yeah.
hilarious.
All
So
right.
funny.
My number 6, Allen Iverson. I mean, the greatest smaller player of all time.
Yeah.
Can we say that? I mean, he changed.
Yeah.
He was a
It's easy.
controversial player with his
Joey-
time in Philly.
Joe, you got something on
Yeah,
your
you
mind?
seem like you
No,
got
no.
something to say.
You were weighing the options.
Just
there.
thinking.
I think part of what Joey's
Everybody
thinking.
talks about him as the greatest pound for pound player.
You don't agree
A
with
lot,
that?
a lot of people say that.
Probably,
It's probably false.
but
What do you think? Who do you think's
Yeah. I
better?
say false.
Muggsy Bogues because he
A
weighed
lot of
like
players.
nothing.
Muggsy.
Muggsy is
Muggsy. I love Muggsy, but
Okay.
not better than it.
all right. Allen Iverson, Philly Allen Iverson. I loved him in Denver. I probably grew up when I started watching basketball. I knew Allen Iverson from his Denver days.
That's sad.
Oh yeah.
I still went back to watch. I still went back to watch the highlights.
I'm
That
just saying.
well, that ages me, I guess.
That's-
No, I got.
But,
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So
I
Allen Iverson
remember-
at number 6.
I hated that Sixers team. They used to get the Pistons all the time for some reason. Them and the stupid Bucks. Both teams weren't that good,
Yeah.
but Allen Iverson would will those Sixers teams every time. That's why I came to hate him. So,
Joey, you're number 5.
my number 5, Malik already talked about him. ISO Joe Johnson.
All right, we don't need to talk about this anymore. I've
And,
already enough Joe Johnson talk for the day.
I started watching him. I'll just do a brief. I started watching him when he was with the Suns, actually.
I was about to say
Real-
nobody remembers Phoenix.
real
Joe Johnson.
real early, and he was kind of just a young spot up shooter at the
Yeah.
time. And then kind of like you said, he developed in Atlanta, and then he really became ISO Joe in
Yeah.
Brooklyn. So watching him grow as a team, as a player, was really fun to watch. Love his play style, similar to that Carmelo play style, similar to my play style, I guess
Yeah.
a little bit. So
Jordan, who you got? 5.
First person to bring street ball into the NBA and make it work.
Stephon Marbury.
Jason Williams,
So close.
the real.
No, that
Yeah.
was white chocolate.
White
yeah.
chocolate.
I like
He's-
that pick. Yeah.
Flashy. I obviously, if you haven't noticed, I love flashy players. I play
Yeah.
flashy. I love everything about it. That's the reason to play, is to get people
Yeah.
excited to come see you.
Exactly.
And he just, some of the stuff he did it boggles my mind. It doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff that worked for him and his fakes and the control he had over the ball and his passes is unbelievable.
Malik, number 5.
My number 5 is very different from the past 2.
All right, let's hear it,
My
man.
number 5 is Jason Williams, white
Yeah.
chocolate.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That's
Come on
funny.
now.
That's funny.
The elbow pass.
I gotta
Nobody
remember-
has ever done that again.
Malik's a ball handler. He's a dribbler. That,
the
that
elbow
plays a huge
pass,
role.
the sick passes, the
I'll be honest, I've seen my
crossovers.
brother do an elbow pass in a game.
that's impressive. I haven't seen many people even try.
Uh,
Most people don't even know about that
if
pass.
we
really.
go play pickup ball, I'll throw you one.
But
Just throw it to me at the 3-point line.
so
No problem.
after Mitch Richmond left Sacramento, they really didn't have any hope in those teams. They bring in Jason Williams. They bring in Chris Webber says he didn't even want to play in Sacramento, but then he met Jason Williams and he was excited to play there. I mean, the way he orchestrated that team before Mike Bibby, people don't realize he was the first point guard that got that train rolling in Sacramento. Just the excitement he brought to the game. I wish there were more players like that nowadays. I don't know if there will be another guard to bring that type of flash like some guards used
For
to
sure,
have, like
he-
Jason Williams.
He had that kind of that star aroma to him, if that makes any sense. Probably doesn't, but
You would
And,
pay money to go see him.
exactly.
And he got that championship with the Miami Heat.
Oh yeah, he did actually. That's actually a good call. My number 5 is Vince Carter. I'm not gonna spend too much time on him because I'm sure Joey's got a lot to talk about when it comes to Vince. But Vince is my number 5. Just his time in Toronto was fantastic, and even his time in New Jersey, I was a big fan of. So Vince Carter, my number 5. Joey, who you got it for?
My number 4 is going to be Chris Paul,
You're a big CP guy.
one of my favorite point guards of all time. hearing about his high school game, about his grandpa, is one of the most incredible stories I've ever
It's
heard.
it's a movie like.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's not real.
If you guys don't know that's listening, he scored, was it
61.
61
Yeah.
points in a high school game, and he purposely missed a free throw because his grandpa had died at the age of 61, so he didn't make his second
No,
free
he
throw.
died like 2 days before the
Yeah.
game or something.
Right.
Like that.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but he got 61
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
yeah,
old his
yeah,
grandpa
yeah.
was.
For sure.
So he purposely missed the free throw, and he walked out of the game crying, and it was a cool thing. But one of the craftiest point guards I've ever seen. He's got a great shot nowadays. He's one of those guys that's kind of an old school point guard, but a little bit new school. And watching him in New Orleans just made me. That's kind of where I started enjoying the New Orleans franchise, and just loved watching every bit of him.
Yeah, Jordan, who you got at number 4?
All right, Tim Duncan, the big fundamental.
I'm glad someone gave some love to the big fundamental because I didn't.
He's the greatest 4 of all time. He's the greatest power
I
forward
agree
of
with
all
that
Hard to
time.
completely.
argue.
Yeah,
He's
hard to
won in
argue. I don't
think
3
he-
different decades.
Now I think Karl Malone would be up there. I
But
think
he never won.
but he never won.
He never won.
Exactly. If Karl Malone if he steals that championship away by Michael, if he's the one guy that gives Michael Jordan an L in the finals, I think you have to actually have a sit down conversation about who's the better power forward.
Definitely.
But it didn't happen. Duncan's
Tim
best,
Duncan's
yeah,
the king.
best power forward.
You'd have the same argument about Charles Barkley, too, if he gave Jordan.
he's a
an L in the
clown.
finals.
He's a clown.
All-time great power forward.
Clown.
But sure. My number 4 is Stephen Curry.
Wow.
Showing some Steph love. I like it.
When he came out of Davidson, I was a fan of him. And then at the time, I didn't pay. I loved basketball, but I didn't pay huge attention to everything in the NBA.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought he just kind of disappeared for a few years. But he had a solid rookie year, and he had injury problems, which I didn't pay attention to. But after those injuries faded away, that 53-point
blossomed.
game in New York,
Yeah. That was his coming out party.
that first playoff team that played against Denver in that first round, him, young Clay, young Draymond, that unanimous MVP season. To me, I watched every game they played on ESPN that year. I don't think I've seen a player play like that in a 1 year. That's one of the most dominant years I've seen by a player ever, and he still amazes me watching him. The effortlessness with which he takes jump shots, how deep he can take jumpers. 1 year he shot over 50% from half court.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just look at it like an accident. He'll hit a crazy shot and everybody will be like,
He
"Oh,
practices
that was
those.
nothing."
He practices those.
He does this stuff a lot. Every shot he hits is amazing to me. And he doesn't just hit threes, like you said. He's crafty around the rim. He's gotten a lot stronger, so he can take body-to-body contact and finish at the rim. He can be a really good passer at times. And although he's not a good defender, he's an effort guy. He tries his hardest, but he's not a great defender.
No, for sure. But I
yeah.
mean, you're not watching
But-
Steph Curry to watch him play defense.
Right.
Exactly. From a pure excitement factor.
Exactly.
And,
And
just
that's why
watching-
people
yeah.
watch basketball for excitement. And
He'll go down as one of the greatest shooters of all time.
one of the greatest.
if not
I
the
think he'll go
best.
I think he'll go down as one of the greatest players of all time. But we gotta do a little.
He's a player I'd pay to watch right now.
We're gonna have,
Most definitely.
we're gonna have to run the break here. Got a little run in transition here. Get these names out of the way. Tracy McGrady is number 4 for me.
Oh,
I
okay.
got Tracy over Vince.
Tracy
Orla-
over Vince.
Yes, his Orlando days.
man.
I was just more of a McGrady guy. When he played in Houston, still McGrady guy over Vince. And special place in my heart that he played for my hometown team. It plays a factor. All right, Joey, who you got at
the
3?
Pistons, where players come to end their careers.
Is exactly it. Who you got at 3?
Number 3 would have originally been Chauncey Billups because
Of course, you got to throw that in there.
hey, we're taking Pistons out of here. So we're bumping up my man Jay Crossover, Jamal Crawford.
Wow.
That's a really hot
It's a
spot, but it's a favorites list.
This
Yeah.
man is so exciting to watch. And again, me and Jordan a little bit like the flashy guys, excitement. It's not my play style necessarily, but
it's just fun to
I
watch.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
And watching Jamal Crawford do his behind the back dribble into around the waist behind the back move, hop step is insane. It's one of the coolest moves I've ever seen. If you hear any interviews about this guy, Jamal Crawford never did any actual drills to learn how to play basketball because he told himself that's not how basketball is played. It's keeping the ball on a string, adapting to what other people are doing, and you have to figure out how to get to the basket and make shots and things. So just that mentality is really cool. Guy's super clutch. Won multiple six-man of the years, but he could have been easily a starter on a lot of these teams. One of the most underrated guys, I think, and just a thrill to watch. Also a Michigan guy.
Yeah, definitely
Do you
has that
think
connection.
he's a Hall of Famer? I think he is.
Personally, I do.
I think that's a discussion for another day before
that's
we
a
get
tough one.
sidetracked here. But Jordan, who you got at number 3?
All right. I got Kobe Bryant,
Kobe.
the most determined player of all time. He
Maybe the craziest player of all time.
Yeah.
psychotic.
He's insane about
Yeah.
He was amazing to watch though, and the drive like that made me want to play more basketball. And just
Definitely.
all of it.
Definitely. Malik, who you got at 3?
My 3 is Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade. I reluctantly left him off my top 10, but that's a good pick. My 3, Kobe Bryant, like Jordan said. My 3 is far and away from everybody else. My top 3, and then my number 4 isn't even close. Watching Kobe's last game just kind of put it over the top for me. 60 points, final game of his NBA career. Him and Shaq joked around on TNT, I think like a week before, and Shaq's like, Kobe, I'll be in attendance. Give me 50. And Kobe's like, I can't do that. He dropped 60 instead of 50. Just one of those amazing stories. Joey, number 2.
How much time we got?
We got a solid 7-8 minutes.
Okay. My number 2, Dirk Nowitzki.
Great choice.
Good choice.
Man, this guy is exciting to watch. A 7-footer, shoots a 3-ball, can't be blocked, can't be stopped. Won a championship almost by himself.
Just watch those finals.
And,
That's all you need to do.
He
Watch
was so
those
dominant.
MVP, and watching his work ethic, if you watch his documentary, which everybody should.
I tried to. It's too much German.
Come on, man. It's incredible, his story. He's also one.
Sorry for our international listeners if we have any.
He's
I'm
also
just being real.
He's also one of the most polite guys in the NBA. I remember we watched one episode of what is it, Ashton Kutcher's Pranked or whatever that show was, and they had a guy go up to him and ask for autographs of like baseball bats.
Oh,
and,
yeah, I
like,
remember
he
that.
had a bag of things, and Dirk literally said yes to everyone and
I
signed
remember
almost
that.
everything. Guy's just a class act, one of the greatest players of all time, in my opinion.
That's funny that I can picture exactly what you're talking about.
Subtitles, Chris. Subtitles.
Who wants to read a
Jesus.
movie? Anyways, Jordan, who you got at 2?
All right, the best Canadian player of all time, best pick and roll ball handler, Steve Nash. I'm wearing the jersey.
I'm happy there's some more Steve Nash love in this group. It's underappreciated.
I never liked the guy.
The hair was amazing.
I
That
hated
too,
it.
he had the
I
flow.
hated
The
the hair.
hair was amazing.
He had the
I think the hair
flow.
was
He had great
amazing.
hairstyle.
I hated it.
Did it all.
Malik, number 2.
My number 2 is Vince Carter, Air Canada, the man that put Toronto on the map, the man that reinvented the dunk
You
contest,
talking about DeMar?
the man that
I'm just
reinvented the
joking.
dunk contest. He left Toronto, went to New Jersey, was still great.
Don't need,
Became a bit of a journeyman for a little bit.
but he was
Orlando,
still a
Phoenix.
solid role player in
Yes,
those days.
he was. Then he hit Dallas, and everybody thought his career was dead. He just became Vince all over again. Started dunking on people more. Hit clutch shots in the playoffs. He's still playing. He's still doing between the legs dunks and warm ups. He's 42 years old. I love Vince Carter.
Joey's got one more year to be a Vince fan, by the way, too.
Now he's on a mentoring tour.
Yeah, he's gonna
just a great man.
he's gonna play for the Atlanta Hawks this year, so that'll be interesting.
He may play one more year. He hasn't completely ruled it out.
He should finish in Toronto, Vince. Go
All right, my number 2, LeBron James.
Ooh.
Oh God.
He's not my number 1 though. But
Yeah,
He's got,
hey,
he's
it's
got
not your
LeBron
number
and
one.
Russ on the same list.
I know. Just I grew up hating this guy. Then I grew up loving him, watching him play for the Miami Heat when he burned the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Did we all hate him at one point?
I still
Everybody,
do.
At one point.
At one point.
What are we talking about? His entire career.
I used to hate him. I don't.
I respect the guy. I'll
I'm
give
a-
him that.
I wish I had more time to go into what LeBron is the face of the NBA to me. Like people have
Yeah.
Michael, people have that. LeBron to me will always be the face of the NBA. As I get older,
always.
he will always be the face of the NBA.
Fair enough.
He's my
Really?
Michael Jordan.
I respect
Joey,
the guy.
who you got at
Michael
number
Jordan is
1?
my
Hey.
Michael Jordan, but okay.
You
I
got
got
it.
you. I got you.
Oh.
Gotta play it though.
Oh, it's not connected. I'll play it one more time.
Kenny Smith is his number one player.
The Jet.
Nope. The guy that Kenny
we had-
Smith is talking about, Vince Carter, number one, most exciting player ever to watch. Just watch the 2000 dunk contest. I was 8 years old when that happened. I actually got to watch it, which I don't
I
think
wish I got to watch it.
guys did.
Nope.
I actually got to watch it. I was 8 years old. The man's incredible. Vince Sanity, Air Canada. Obviously, his Toronto days are probably my favorite. But he was solid on the Nets, but I couldn't like him as much because he was against the Pistons all the time. Vince Carter, by far, favorite player of all time.
Fair enough.
Have you ever watched the highlights of his warm-ups before
Well,
the dunk contest,
we'll
which
get
are
it-
even more amazing?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
he's head above
Vince
the rim
Carter,
just doing this.
Vince Carter in the Olympics dunking over a 7-footer. Incredible.
All
R.I.P.
right,
Frederick
we got a
Douglass.
minute for each of us here. Jordan,
All right.
number one player.
Manu Ginobili.
Number one?
Big
He's my
time.
Are you
all-time
kidding me?
favorite.
Yes.
He broke my heart when he
Gosh,
beat
I
the
wish we had more than a
Pistons. When
minute.
he was beating the Pistons, but I was, who is this man? Who is this foreign man? And he's been my idol
Who
ever
is this
since.
foreign
All
man?
this
That's an all-time quote for this show now.
All
Who
these
is this
moves.
foreign man?
Foreign man.
Euro-
Any guess that we have? Who is this foreign
He-
man?
He's the reason I do the Sham God every game I play. He created it pretty much. He brought
Didn't
it to the NBA.
Didn't Sham God create the Sham God?
Yeah, but
The European version.
the El Latigo is what it's called. But great moves.
Oh gosh. Put that on a shirt, Jordan.
Yes, sir.
All right. Malik, who you got as your favorite player of all time?
The Black Mamba,
Kobe.
24.
I was surprised that
8.
wasn't Joey's favorite. Did Kobe even land in your top 10?
No.
Are you?
Joey's not Kobe guy.
Wow, I thought he was a Kobe fan.
I enjoy Kobe a lot, and I respect the guy, but,
All right,
he just wasn't
got-
my favorite.
Kobe
Malik-
Bryant is
yeah.
the reason why I became a Laker fan my 7th and 8th grade years in middle school. 81 points, 4 straight games of 50. I mean, if he had a good team around that time, he might have won like 3 or 4 MVPs because of the level he was on by himself. But, Chris Mim and Smush Parker. But, when you get Pau Gasol.
Vladimir Radmanovic.
When you get Pau Gasol and you get more better players like Andrew Bynum and all that stuff, you win more championships. Kobe
Mabenga.
Bryant, Mbanga, Josh Powell. Great
Yeah, you
players.
could go on and on.
Adam
All right.
Morrison.
Well, he's an all-time great. Let's not forget that. My favorite player of all time, Stephen Curry.
Wow. That's actually
All
a surprise.
Now, he is my favorite player of all time because that's the way I play the game. As I got older, as he came into his prime, I just started just jacking up threes on the basketball court, doing no-look threes, shoot it, look the other way. Just adopt
But are
that.
you as confident as him when you take those
100%.
shots?
I'm too confident. But just he is like the NBA player I would want to be, and he's just the most entertaining player to me to watch, and that played the biggest role to me. Who would I sit down and watch an end-to-end game of if they played all 48? Steph Curry. Easy. Well, that's our show, fellas, man. Good work.
Oh,
I just blew out your eardrum. Sorry, guys.
I'll put a warning in the video.
Well, that was our top 10 favorite players of all time. We might do another theme show coming up here in the next couple weeks or so, but then we get back into training camp. September.
Almost that time.
It's not, though. See you guys next time.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Who was that foreign man? T-shirts coming soon.